Hello again. This is Brian Copeland talking. Welcome to another edition of Copeland's Corner. As always, we have a distinguished panel of comics to talk about some of the news of the week. Lots of stuff that's going on. This week we got David Spark, Blaine Capatch, and Greg Behrendt with us. Or I should say, returning to us. So no virgins this week. None. You've all done this before. So thanks, guys. Good to have everybody. We'll get started. Where's everybody located? I'm in the Bay Area. David, you are where right now?
I'm in San Diego, Carlsbad area.
Oh, no. Got my best friend lives in Carlsbad.
Love it down here.
And Blaine?
I'm in Los Angeles and Los Feliz in exchange for this announcement.
Again, Greg?
Studio City, brother. Straight out of Studio City. Yeah.
All right. So two places I can crash when I go down to LA. I appreciate that,
Absolutely.
Gentlemen. All right, let's start with this. CBS announced this week that it will be canceling The Late Show, starring Stephen Colbert. With the last, I'm breaking news here. With the last show being broadcast in May of 2026, and they claim that it is purely for financial reasons. It has nothing to do with content. Now, this is a couple of days after he slammed CBS Paramount for paying what he said was blackmail money to the Trump administration. Actually, to Trump. Actually, it goes to the Trump library over that BS lawsuit that he filed against CBS over Kamala Harris's 60 Minutes interview. It was a lawsuit that every legal scholar in the country said was frivolous and would be dismissed. But they have got this giant merger that they want to, that's worth several $billions that they want to go through, and the administration, in the form of the Federal Communications Commission, the FCC, would have to approve it. And so you've got everybody capitulating to Trump in advance. So the other part of this being, well, actually, I'll stop here. First of all, your thoughts on the cancellation. Second of all, do you think that it is true that this is purely for financial reasons? Again, number one show in late night as of in 2024, number one show late night, and they just flat out cancel it.
So I will just say, there is a possibility because there's 200 people on staff for that one show. Mm-hmm. So that is a lot of people to run a single show. 200. Mm-hmm. That is it. So that's got to cost some serious money. Mm-hmm. But he's also the number one. But then again, how many people are watching over the air television and how much are those ad dollars? I honestly don't know. I haven't seen the books on this, but 200 people, one show does cost a lot. At the same time, if they did pull him because of the things he said on the air, they would never say that, period.
Of course not.
They would come, say something else. So it is conceivable with 200 people running a show that they could be losing money, even if it is number one show. I don't know.
Okay, but go ahead.
I think it's like a perfect storm. The show is losing something like $40 million a year. Mm-hmm. So even if it is the number one show, people watch Colbert. I think he has somewhere like 20 million people on YouTube. So a lot of his show is watched streaming. And then you have him, accusing them of a bribe. And maybe the powers that be were like, look, this guy's not making any money. He's talking shit. Goodbye. It could have been a combination of both things.
Yeah.
I don't think it was. I don't think it was purely political. They yanked him off the air completely. They wouldn't give him 10 months to talk shit about them, which is what he intends to do, I would imagine. But I don't know.
Blaine?
Yeah, I watched it last night and he was talking a lot of shit. It's pretty funny. Yeah. People are going to be lining up to talk shit, and I think his ratings are going to go even higher. I do think there's a sea change in late night going on where people aren't, like David said, people aren't watching late night TV anymore. There's not appointment watching or network loyalty or anything like that anymore. Everybody's getting things in sound bites. I think that they're kind of messing themselves up in that they're getting rid of the source of the sound bites that people are going to watch and send, eyes to their sites and stuff. But I also think that they are sort of trying to get ahead of this conservative wave that they think is happening, and they don't want to be on the the South side of this vindictive administration that is that's just taking out retribution and petty revenge on people. It's bizarre. I think they're trying to avoid stuff, and they also want to restructure their news organization around conservative viewpoints and stuff.
All right, here's why I think it's political. You got a number one show, and you're absolutely right. It is losing money, and I think that figure is correct, about $40 million a year. The ad revenue is down something by like 40% from 2018, because you do have fewer people who are watching, and where he does great is online and with the clips and the stuff that they're putting on TikTok. However, I've been in broadcasting for most of my adult life. And generally, if something like this happens, what they do is, especially if you're number one, if you're in last place, you don't have the numbers. That's different. But when you're in number one, they would come to you and say, normally, we're going to have to cancel you unless we can bring costs down. So, are you willing to take a pay cut of X amount of dollars? We're going to have to let X amount of your 200-person staff go. We're going to need to move from the Ed Sullivan Theater that CBS has to pay a huge rent for every single month. And we're going to put you in one of the multitude of sound stages that CBS owns. So there are lots and lots of things.
Yeah, they can bring that $40 million down.
They can bring it way down.
But I will also say, like, all of us have kids. None of my kids even know what a network is. They don't subscribe to any show. They don't watch anything over the air. Mm-hmm. The only commercials they get are forced. So as I've said this years ago, if you're relying on any network programming period to sustain you, your audience is literally dying. That's all they're doing. Mm-hmm. It isn't growing. It's slowly dying. And, this is an opportunity for this to be reinvented on one of the streaming services, because I'm sure a streaming service would love to have them. But
I think they'll jump. I think they'll jump at it.
But the streaming services can pay for it. I mean, geez, Netflix paid for WWE, which has got to cost way more money.
A fortune.
So, if they could, Netflix could take it, and all of a sudden the show would be there and would make sense because these platforms are bigger.
Well, also HBO Max could take it. It would be a nice companion to John Oliver.
Yeah.
I got to say, first of all, I think WWE is very cheap because those guys have their own costumes. But I think that
that is true. I was thinking the same thing, Blaine.
Yeah, they have all they have to do is pay for a little bit of a music clip for their walk-on music, and it's all gravy at that point. Mm-hmm. But I think that what's very strange to me is the fact that they're getting rid of this legacy tentpole show of theirs. There's a new thing that's happening in the 21st century, and it's not the kids today, but it's people are getting rid of legacies and they're ignoring history. It's like the WB stuff, getting rid of cartoons on their website and stuff, and not closing their vault up and selling off the copper in their walls. It's just bizarre to me that they don't have any sort of regard for what made them great themselves. It's like, the hell with my skeleton. All it does is prop me up. I'm going to sell it. It's like, why would you sell your skeleton? It's their they're talking about getting rid of the Tonight Show, and in 10 years,
it's back to it's 4 days a week, and that's something else they could do with Colbert. Is you cut the filming down, the take days down from 5 to 4 or 5 to 3. You double up.
Colbert's been at 4 days for quite some time.
Okay, well then you cut him down. Fridays. You cut him down to 3, or you cut a tape day down, and you have one day when you record 2 shows.
I just feel like soon, in 5 or 10 years, there's going to be a nostalgia wave of people going, why did we get rid of that stuff? And they're going to try to bring it back, and it's going to be new Coke. It's going to be, high fructose corn syrup instead of sugar, and that's a whole completely.
But I will also argue on this, Blaine, in that how many times have you seen, some post on Facebook about some cafe that shut down, or some restaurant, or some theater, and people scream, "Oh, why did that shut down?" They have such warm memories to it. I'm like, because you stopped going, you stopped paying.
True.
Stop complaining if you're not funding it.
It's all I grew up there. This is the place we would go every day when I was a kid. Every Sunday after church, we'd go. Well, what about now? Okay, you're not a kid now.
I can't afford it. No parking.
I haven't watched a late night show. Date and time in years.
Me either.
My daughter, who is 20 and writes pop culture reviews for the Cal Berkeley paper, she loves Colbert. She's never seen an episode.
Yeah.
She loves him. She sends me clips, blah, blah, blah. I was like, did you watch this last night? She's like, no.
I don't watch it live either. And I watch them every day.
I've never seen it live.
No, I think we need these people, and I think we need this content. But I'm asleep.
Yeah. I don't watch it with my friend. I don't watch those shows when my friends are on them. Or there's a band I like.
I'll see it
in the morning.
You can see the clip on YouTube the next day and not have to watch the whole show, not have to watch the parts that you don't. Because I don't care how tight a show is, there are going to be segments that you don't really care about, especially you don't care about as much. So you go and you see what it is that you want to see. But let me switch gears and ask you that. It's interesting, by the way, what you said about this legacy tent pole, because I'm old enough. We are old enough to remember when the CBS tried for decades to try to find something to compete with The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson. And they found Letterman's the first time, and they tried Joey Bishop. They tried all of this stuff, and they could not get Pat. Remember the Pat Sajak show? They had Sajak in late night, exactly. So they tried everything, and finally they get it, and it goes for 30 years, and they blow it out. CBS has a history of going with the road less traveled when they have a show that is popular but would rankle the feathers of a touchy administration. They did this with the Smothers Brothers. Back in the 60s when the Smothers Brothers were going after Nixon and was going after Vietnam. Pat Paulson, who was a regular on that show, ran for president, was one of my best friends till the day he died. And he told me that once the network started to mess with him, they were looking for a reason to get him off the air because they wanted to curry favor with Nixon. And this was a pre-tape show that, and they would edit the show. The show had to be in early. They had a specific time and date it had to be in order for them to be able to edit anything that they thought might piss off Nixon. And so he told me that what Tommy Smothers told them to do is anytime you said something you thought might get you in trouble, to take a step to the right. So that way the audience would know that it had been edited. You take a big step to the right, so you're not in the place where you're. So that way they could tell that you had been censored.
Wow.
So here's the question I want to ask in terms of this. This has, I believe, and you tell me if I'm right or wrong, that this is going to have a chilling effect on comics and satirists who are broadcasting, because of the fact that they are going to worry about what it is they say, because their jobs could be put in jeopardy, because the network doesn't want to get in trouble, or whoever the powers that be are, they don't want to get in trouble, and so you could end up losing your platform. Number one, do you think this is true? Number two, how long do you think it's going to be before this happens with stand-up? How long before they come up to Bill Burr?
Just moments before our recording here, I just saw yet another Trump post from Truth Social, and he listed out all the late night show hosts and saying the next to go is Fallon, or the next to go is Kimmel, then Fallon, and he goes, and I hope I have a little part in all of it. So he is not holding back. He's making it very, very clear. He would like the people who attack him to be gone.
Right.
All right. So is that going to stop people from attacking him? I mean, do you think? Well, ABC has already shown that they're spineless, because, they folded on the George Stephanopoulos suit. Stephanopoulos called him a rapist, or said he was convicted or found liable for rape in the E. Jean Carroll case. And he claimed that it wasn't rape. And the judge himself came out and said, after Trump said, well, it wasn't rape, the judge said, yes, it was. The judge had made the extraordinary step of issuing a statement saying that, yes, it was.
When Trump was running for president, he kept saying, I am your retribution.
Yeah.
And he wasn't talking to the audience. He was talking to himself. Every time he says anything, he's talking about himself. He talks about the country, he's talking about himself. It comes from this universe of narcissism that he lives in, where everything is about him.
The thing is, he's got all these people locked in his orbit. The thing is, people like him come and go. The problem is he's created the orbit that nobody seems to can break out of.
Yeah, it can break out of or penetrate.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think that the people in that orbit know that they can't know that he is the sun, and once the sun burns out, it's a colony with no queen. They're just gonna sort of like wander off and die in a sink someplace. And they only supported him and allowed him to be nominated because they knew that he was the only chance they had of winning the presidency.
All right, so that is my question too, and that is that he is clearly showing a cognitive decline. I mean, anybody who says that he's not, especially anybody who whined about Biden and Biden's decline, they're lying. They're lying, or they're lying to themselves. He's 79 years old. Do you think that he finishes his term? Do you think that he serves all 4 years? All right, and if he does survive all 4 years, does Vance replace him? Is there anybody you can replace him who will be able to keep this MAGA coalition going?
There's nobody. Vance doesn't have his level of charisma, as much as, I hate to say it, he does have charisma.
He does. You got to give him what he's
but
props.
No, there's no. But I will say this: if the Democrats think, when it's Trump's term's over, the Republicans don't have a plan. The Republicans are working on a plan. They're always 10 steps ahead of the friggin' Democrats.
Yeah. And they play the long game.
Why don't the Democrats get 10 steps ahead, please?
They play the long game. I mean, look at how long
they're very good at the long game.
How long they waited and plotted and planned to get rid of Roe.
Oh, they're doing everything with the redistricting and the judges. That is the game they've been playing for years. They're so damn good at it. And even if the Democrats could get in, I mean, they've already instituted their damage already. It's already been done.
All right,
and they're still doing more of it. They'll do more of it for the next 3.5 years.
All right. Do you think it will have that what's happened to Colbert and the fact that he's targeting late night hosts to criticize him again? Do you think that it's going to get to a place where comics who are working on stage in front of live audiences are going to start worrying about what it is they say? Do you think it's going to come to a situation where you have those who own venues or those who
if Trump gets to Live Nation, that's it.
Okay, that's the question.
Yeah.
Well, seriously, I know you're joking, but you're
no. He could get to Live Nation. They could have a merger set up. He doesn't like. This is supposedly the same exact story when John F. Kennedy. So years ago, I interviewed. God, I'm blanking out his name. The old man who ran the Hungry Eye comedy club.
Enrico Banducci. So I interviewed him many years ago. And now again, this is Enrico's story, and so huge grain of salt. But he claims the reason that they were going after him for tax evasion, which I think he was evading taxes, was because they didn't like what Mort Saul was saying on stage. And the Kennedy clan supposedly went after him specifically because of what Mort Saul was saying on his stage. So there is potentially a history of, political figures, presidents, and it was, by the way, old man Joe Kennedy, not John F. Kennedy specifically, but the dad going after Enrico. See, here's what's weird about that. I'm not sure that story would be true.
I don't know. Because this is Enrico's take.
Yeah, that's his story. Because the thing is, when Mort Saul went, quote unquote nuts, was after the Kennedy assassination. He became obsessed with the Kennedy assassination, and every time he got on stage, he was talking about the assassination and about the war commission.
It could have actually been that's when it was happening. Who knows?
And how it was BS and whatever else, about. So actually, that would be possible. In theory, that could be possible. But I mean, I'm not going to censor myself. I'm going to say what it is I want to say.
I don't think it's going to change comedy. I think comedy is one of the comedy and music are the two last places where those voices just won't be silenced. I mean, it's possible certain venues won't, you know what I mean? I work for cruise ships now, which has been a strange change in my life.
You can't say anything as a comic. You're such a straitjacket.
So here's the thing. So they're different now, but they are red state. It's a red state vacation.
Yeah.
So they ask you,
Missouri at sea.
They ask you very kindly it would be great if you stayed away from politics or religion. Now, I'm not political anyway in my stand-up, but it is one of the places where you have to decide: am I gonna cause a fuss, or am I just gonna do my set?
Is this the hill I want to die on?
It's just the hill I want to die on, 100%. So I think certain places will have the leverage to silence comedians, yes. But I think comedy in and of itself will find venues to work and to do the work. And there's so many great young comics right now that are really speaking out and
you can't get them on,
work, especially.
But Greg, this is also more. Trump isn't going after the performers in the coffee houses. He's going after, like Colbert, the number one show, the biggest shows. So that's why I say, if they get to Live Nation, who are doing the huge concert venues, that's a different story. So that's what I'd be more concerned about. Right. Live Nation will merge with somebody sometime, and they may hold it up. We don't like what that performer is doing on stage. Don't book them, or tell them.
We want to allow your merger to go through. Well, we'll block your merger under antitrust. Yeah, because I mean they're doing arena shows. We would be going after the people that do arena shows.
I think one funny thing that's happening is there's been, for years, it's been this squeal of cancel culture and comedians going, oh, I can't say these horrible things and I don't have the freedom to say what I want to say. First of all, talk about something else. Why are you so fixated on figuring out how to say rape on stage or do a joke about the R word or something? Just talk about something else. But they're saying that comedians that complain about being silenced are now the ones that are doing the silencing. And I think that people who are paying attention are going, everybody is just completely full of nonsense. That there's nobody telling you what you can't say. It's other people that are you can say anything you want as long as it's what they approve of. So I think there's a hypocrisy that's bubbling to the surface, but hypocrisy doesn't bring down anyone. You can point it out, you can scream about it, but it never hurts anyone, especially the hypocrites. They don't care. So I think that there's going to be there'll be a pendulum swing with comedians. Like I remember when seeing Don Rickles on Letterman during the first wave of political correctness, and he would say something, the Puerto Ricans, and people go, ooh, and he would look at Dave like, oh, come on. And 10 years later, everything's fine again. And then 10 years after that, it's not fine. So this stuff, the pendulum in comedy swings and nobody really notices except people who aren't comics.
Did either you read that Klipsch Nesterdorf book, Outrage?
Yes. Yeah, I did a panel on it. It's a great
book's name's Outrage.
Yeah,
I don't know. What is the book, David?
It's essentially the book says essentially there's never been a time that someone didn't say, is this the end of comedy?
Yeah.
People are always complaining about the same and again and again and again.
Someone's to the editor. Lucille Ball said something horrible on her show.
And you never do jokes about this. It's like, and essentially, I mean, it kind of gets very, very redundant, but he's proving his point. Like, this has never not happened. It just always happened.
Yeah. Let's shift gears. The Epstein thing is not going away. The Jeffrey Epstein stuff, as much as they want, it's not going away.
Why is this the thing that's sticking?
That's what I don't get.
Amazed by why.
I don't get it either. All the stuff he's done, and again, you have got MAGA. Although they started to rally around him a little bit because the Wall Street Journal wrote that article about the birthday card that he sent to Jeffrey Epstein for his 50th, where he drew a picture of a woman in her pubic hair and stuff. And so the media now is the fake media is now attacking the president. So his MAGA base starting to rally around him. But last week, you had viral videos of people burning their MAGA hats. I mean, not a lot of them, because over the Jeffrey Epstein thing. Now, just a couple of developments.
By the way, were there? I'm just interested to know, were there very specific voices in the red community and the conservative community that were the loudest that sort of drove
Nick Fuentes
this?
was bad, and he's a Nazi, Nick Fuentes, and he was complaining about Trump and saying he was a sellout and horrible things about him.
And what's his name? Bongino,
his head assistant of the head of the FBI.
Yeah,
right. Is that
no? That's Kash Patel, who's hit the
Kash Patel is
FBI. He's
assistant director of something.
Yeah.
Anyway, Bongino and his giant Charlie Brown head.
Well, let's
spherical. It's like a pumpkin. He's like Jack Skellington, that guy.
Hold a football in front of the gate. So Speaker Johnson, again, just a couple of updates. Speaker Johnson adjourned the House for their August recess rather than allow them to take a vote on Democratic amendments. Democrats are going to keep putting amendments on anything they tried to pass. They were going to try to put amendments on that would require the full release and disclosure of the Epstein files. Ghislaine Maxwell, again, is making noise about she wants to testify before Congress, and the Republicans are going, no. This morning, I think it was, maybe it was last night. I don't know where this came from, but there is a clip that has resurfaced from a Howard Stern show. I don't know when it is. We were trying to play it on the show, but we're having some technical issues and aren't able to do it, where they're talking about how young Donald Trump would go in terms of the women he'd sleep with. Stern asked him, could you get a 24-year-old right now? Oh, yeah, easy. Are you kidding? Yeah, easy. No problem whatsoever. He goes, well, is there an age? He goes, well, pretty much is an age, but, I wouldn't go to 12. I wouldn't be with a 12-year-old.
So 14 is okay, I guess.
Yeah, I was going to say that's,
I mean, if it's good enough for Elvis.
My answer would have been, it depends upon the state. It depends upon what state I'm in.
The weird thing is, we have him on tape.
Yeah.
On the, talking to Billy Bush. I mean,
and that wasn't enough.
It's as incriminating as you could possibly be. He sounds exactly like a rapist. And yet that just seems to nobody seems to care.
You know what was really funny was during the last campaign, people started, they were saying there's a new wave of voters that are coming in, young voters who didn't hear that Billy Bush tape the first time around.
Oh, Gen Zers, yeah.
Yeah, and they would play this, they were like TikTok videos. They would play this tape for young women and watch their jaws drop. Because they were like, oh, my God, how is this guy not behind bars? He's a sexual predator. But there's nothing happening in any of this Epstein stuff that nobody didn't know for years. And I don't get that it's just now starting to pick people.
Well, I just don't get, with everything that he's done, why this is the straw. I mean, again, it's horrible, obviously, but I don't get that. There are so many things that he's done that are criminal and are horrible, but that this was the deal breaker.
Yeah, I find it interesting because, they call him the Teflon president. It's just amazing, like how he gets out of each one of these things. He's just like, oh, and he gets out of this and he gets out of this. Like no other human on the planet would get out of this much, but he's able to do it, and he's able to distract. And the whole story around the Billy Bush situation with the Access Hollywood thing is that they played it off of, oh, it was locker room talk.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is what Greg and Blaine and I always talk about. Yes, we have this discussion all the time.
It's green room talk. That's what it is. It's green room talk.
Nobody talks like that, unless you're a pervert.
Even Billy Bush got fired when that tape surfaced. Even Billy Bush. So the guy he's talking to gets fired for listening.
Yeah.
He fired the guy for listening.
Yeah, that was brutal.
And he got away with it. All right, so let me ask you this. Well, I want to check, Blaine. Let me ask you this. He's doing everything he can to try to distract. First thing was this Rosie O'Donnell nonsense of stripping her of her U.S. citizenship. Then you had it's Obama and Biden and Hillary Clinton and Comey who wrote the Epstein files that supposedly didn't exist. Supposedly, they don't exist. But if they do exist, Obama and Biden wrote it. That hasn't stuck. Now, the latest thing is he's claiming that Obama committed treason and that Obama and Biden made up this whole thing about Russia in order to steal the 2020 election. And he's going after him. So do you think that there's anything that's going to distract from this? Do you think that this is going to play out? You think that, we were talking about he gets away with everything. Do you think that this is going to play out, or do you think it's going to go away, or is this going to end up being his Waterloo?
Well, I think that what they're trying to do is they were hoping that there were Democrats that they in the list that they could bring down, but but he won't let the list be released because he's all over it. So I think that's what's upsetting them a little bit. But it bothers me that I know that in 2 or 3 months nobody's going to care about it anymore. Everybody's going to move on. It's like a few months ago, everybody was complaining about everything being locked up in CVS. Oh, everything's behind glass at CVS. We got to do something about CVS. I got to wait for 5 minutes. Oh yeah, I know. I'm taking it from you. But and now it's months later, and everybody who was complaining is just like, well, I guess I just go to CVS.
I totally disagree with that. People still bitch about that. I bitch about that.
But the fire died down behind it. The fury died down behind it. Now people are like, most people are just like, I'll just deal with it. So I think that's kind of what happens with Trump.
I use a hair product called Got to Be Glued.
Me too.
That is behind glass.
I get it on Amazon because it's behind glass.
It just makes me feel tougher. I use a dangerous product in my hair, and I feel very good about it.
It's like going to talk to somebody in prison. You got to talk to your hair gel on a phone.
Gun. It's like buying a gun. You got to get someone to unlock it.
It does.
Waiting period on my deodorant.
It's easier to get a gun. That's the sad part of it. It's easier.
I'm sure all these drugstores have numbers on what the resale value is on this, hair gel, hair care product or whatever, and razors, whatever the heck they put behind, lock and key.
Oh, there's toothpaste and toothbrushes and stuff. There's shaving cream and things like this that are all locked up. And it's not just drugstores. The grocery stores are Safeway's doing it.
Yeah.
I understand why. It's because they're the ones who had the policy where they told their employees, if you see somebody shoplifting, don't stop them.
No.
And I have a friend who got fired. She got fired because she tried to stop somebody who had a full basket, a full grocery basket full of steaks and all kinds of stuff. And they're just walking out the door. And she stood in front of them, tried to stop them, and was fired immediately. Was fired by Safeway, by the way, was fired immediately from Safeway for violating that policy.
And then went over to that woman's house and ate like a king.
All right, let's look at this. Lisa Murkowski, who was thank you, who was one of the one of the key votes that could have stopped the big, beautiful bill from passing, and had criticized it before and said she wasn't going to vote for it. And then she flipped on a dime. And you find out the reason she flipped was because she was promised certain protections for the state of certain concessions for the state of Alaska regarding protecting wind and solar projects that they had in that state. And so she voted for the bill, and you can make the argument that because it was so close that had she gone the other way, it wouldn't have passed. Well, now that the bill is passed, the deal that she made with Trump is immediately off. He has signed legislation or implemented a policy that pretty much negates everything that she was promised in order for her vote. So now she's whining that she feels that she was cheated.
There's a shocker.
Yeah, see, that's it. That's my question. Just how do you feel about this? She screwed. First of all, the fact that she screwed the country because she thought it would be good for Alaska. As long as I can protect Alaska, 17 million people could lose their health care. Now she turns around and she does it with somebody who every other word out of his mouth is a lie, and now she says she feels cheated.
Well, first of all, these are all classic cases of not seeing the forest through the trees and also protecting your own hind. Every time I hear the reports that, the Republicans need 2 more votes. So they don't have enough money enough influence to convince one person to change their mind? Of course they do. Whenever I hear them, I'm like, they're going to get it. They will. When do they not get it? The answer is never. They always get it because they just convince person. They throw, what is it you want? Yes. And then they yank it out from, because all I need is your vote. Once I get your vote, I can screw you over. I mean, that's all that matters.
Well, this time, no, but next time.
It doesn't matter. Then they'll get pressure from somebody else. So if you don't do that, then he'll speak bad of you. Don't worry. He's made it very, very clear what happens when you go against him. That has been made very clear.
Yes.
All right. Does he still have that clout, do you think, coming up next time?
Yes, sadly, he
does.
Really,
but the fact of the matter is, if you're one of the 17 million people, and I keep using that phrase because there's a lot to hate in that bill, but the fact that you're yanking the health care from millions of people, there are people who are going to die.
17 million is still a minority. And yet, guess what? There's 360 million people in this country.
Mm-hmm.
Those 17 million people can't sway the vote. And the other 300 some odd million people don't give a rat's ass enough about
I disagree. I disagree. Because all of those people...
enough. David,
all of those people, they may be self-centered, but their mother is on Medicaid or their brother is on Medicaid.
Okay, let's crank it up to 25 million then. Still a minority. Still, take it to 50 million. Still in a minority. It's not enough.
Okay, but it's so closely divided in the House in terms of the numbers.
Yes, and then who's the majority? It's just enough. An individual I have to convince. There's so many different ways to convince people.
No, I'm talking about flipping the House. I'm talking about flipping the House.
That'd be wonderful in the next election.
Okay, yeah, but what I'm saying is, do you think that this is enough? You got MAGAs burning their hats. You get all these people. I see video after video after video, or post after post of I voted for him, but I didn't vote for this. Or if I could take my vote back, I would take it back. Yeah, I wanted him to get rid of illegals, but he was supposed to be going after the worst of the worst. Well, that's not Maria who cleans my house.
You voted
for some reason. The Democrats is a far greater evil. That's the bottom line. It's a far greater evil, no matter what. Whatever you think you've got now, it's worse if a Democrat is there.
Well, I can't argue. I guess I can't argue with that. Let's see. This was surprising to me, the fact that Trump is suing the Wall Street Journal and Rupert Murdoch.
For billions.
For bill. Something was it?
He's suing everyone. His whole MO is put everything into the courts and let the clock tick out on it.
Yeah,
that's his whole thing. His whole life. It's just
his MO used to be like when he was screwing contractors over and stuff. His MO used to be that he would file a lawsuit against somebody. Against somebody who worked on the Taj Mahal, for example, because they hate him in Atlantic City. They get stand. Somebody who did a lot of work, and he would file a lawsuit against them, and then his attorney would sit down with the attorney for the plaintiff, for the defendant, and say, you can fight this, and when you fight this, you're going to win, but it's going to cost you more to win than what it is that you're seeking. So instead, take 25% of what he owes you. And that's what they would do. That was his MO. Well, he can't do that with Rupert Murdoch. Rupert Murdoch has a hell of a lot more money and I would argue with Fox News more influence than he does. I mean, I wonder if now he's going to order Fox News to do all this anti-Trump stuff. I mean, he could very well. Or will he lose? Well, they're losing audience anyway.
There might be some kayfabe involved in all of this.
Some
kayfabe. Oh, I'm gonna do this move, and I'm gonna tell everybody to slag you on the air, and then you come back and you drop this suit, and so they're all, once you get up into that kind of money, they're all friends.
Do you think that they? What's the best way to put this? There's a meme that's going around that says Trump says that he has Jewish friends and that he has black friends. When he's called a racist, and what you're seeing underneath it is a picture of him with Jeffrey Epstein, and then a picture of him and Melania with Diddy. His Jewish friends and his black friends, and somebody wrote underneath, posted it, and I posted it on my Facebook. And somebody posted it. Well, the thing is that billionaires all stick together. And looking at how things are going right now, I kind of feel like that's true. I mean, you have your outliers, you have your Mark Cubans, and you've got your Bill Gateses and your Warren Buffetts. But for the most part, do you think that that's true? Do you agree with that statement?
Well, we usually make friends with people who have similar interests and similar backgrounds, and there's only so many billionaires out there can understand the struggles of what another billionaire goes through. So I get it.
Yeah,
It's not easy being a billionaire.
I hung out with comics I didn't like.
I don't think they see themselves as part of the system. So they have that in common, in that they all uniquely feel like they're above party and country, that they're powerful enough to make any decision they want. So they have that in common.
Yeah, if no one says no to you ever, so why not think that?
Yeah.
You had this week, or actually, I think it was last week, that you had the CEO of In-N-Out Burger, who is a billionaire who inherited it from I guess from her father when he passed away, and she grew up in Northern California, and she's moving, I think it's to Tennessee, because she said it's just too hard to do business in California. Now, by the way, In-N-Out started in California, was built in California, and she's complaining about the quality of life and these kinds of things. So she can't make it in California.
Can't survive.
She just can't make it and can't survive in California. I mean, am I looking at this wrong when I just think that that's a ludicrous statement for a billionaire to make? I gotta move.
Maybe I'm wrong. I felt like she was saying that was true for the people who work for her.
All right.
The salaries that they make. But then you think, okay, well, then pay
raise their salary.
Raise their salary. Don't leave and just help people in tennis. Okay. So, I mean, to feel better about yourself, I don't know. They're not going to get rid of the In-N-Out burgers here.
No, they're not. I mean, they will stay here. In other words, they're talking about, because of the statement, there's a boycott.
So they pay considerably more than, and this is in California, where I think the minimum wage is $14.50 or 13 something.
Yeah, they pay their employees.
So, but they pay $21.82 per hour, which is considerably above minimum wage.
Well, actually, it isn't, because the minimum wage for fast food workers has gone up to something like that. It's a different minimum wage for fast food. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah, under Gavin Newsom, that they're trying to make it a livable, and that's not a livable wage.
Well, if you look at under the cups, and they're a very religious organization, In-N-Out, and they're if you look under the cups, under the rim, they have a Bible verse printed there, and I looked up the Bible verse, and it says "See ya," because it all comes down to greed and self-centeredness, especially when you're a generation removed from the guy that founded it.
Are there any businesses that you boycott because of their values, or because they're MAGA, or because of
I will tell you there is
a couple.
There is a yogurt shop that I live near that the owner is a huge Trump supporter. And he promotes that love of it with an enormous AI-generated image of Trump on a tank holding a rifle. Okay, and it's literally I'll find it because you can find it online. It's so absurd. Now, here's the problem: the yogurt's really good and it's really cheap. Two good combinations. My wife refuses to go. I do actually go because I do like the yogurt there. It's good, but it is quite offensive. Now, it is not Trump, but it is a guy who definitely loves Trump, who owns the place.
All right. Now, there are some businesses that I know the millionaire or billionaire owners are big supporters that I boycott. I don't go to Home Depot. I used to go to Home Depot for stuff all the time, and because of the fact that their CEO is a big Trumper who's giving him money. Why do I want to give Donald Trump money to oppress me? So I won't go there. I don't.
He's
go to
just
Chick-fil-A.
Mad because of the workers out front. He's trying to not get all that ICE attention. He hates it.
Chick-fil-A, I don't go to.
My wife doesn't go to Chick-fil-A either.
I won't go to Chick-fil-A. I won't go to I have no reason to go to Hobby Lobby. I have no hobbies. So, I have no reason. I boycott hobbies because that's how upset I am with Hobby Lobby.
What about Giants games?
I'm going to the Giants game next week.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact.
Niners. I think both of those people support Trump.
Yeah, here's the thing that's funny about you mentioned about that, because my son works for KMBR, the Giants flagship station, and he does an afternoon sports talk show, and he sometimes does the post game. He does pre and post game for the Niners. And I know that, well, I should not speak for him because those are big gigs to get. But I based on his politics, I'm sure that he does not. Well, see, for me, I hate saying it's your politics because it's really not your politics. When you're talking about freedom and equity and equality, I've never seen those things as being political. And you know what I hate? I hate these people who say, don't let politics ruin your friendships. Don't let the fact that there are two guys running for something, don't let that destroy your friendships. And it's like, it's not we're not talking about, just a regular exchange of ideas. And I agree with these ideas. I disagree with these. We're literally talking about authoritarianism in America. We're literally talking about completely trashing and wiping our butts with the Constitution. And to me, that's not just a policy, disagreement.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, I will say that, most of my friends who are very blue, pretty much all of them, I don't think they have many friends that are staunch Republicans today. That was not the case years ago.
That's right.
But today it's very, very different.
Well, I've lost friends. I cut off a 40-year friendship over this. You cannot say that you are my friend and support a racist. An open, non-repentant racist. You can't.
I'm good friends with Patton Oswalt and Margaret Cho, and they are both staunch Republicans.
Oh man, Patton is the worst. He's like Tiny Goebbels.
Suck it, cock, suck it, cock, suck it, cock. Okay, I get it. But we still go out to Hobby Lobby and hang out. It hasn't
That's where
affected
you
our relationship.
make your googly eye characters, isn't it?
Have a little Chick-fil-A for lunch on the way out.
Always, yeah. Swing by Target.
Okay, now I want to make sure there's no misunderstanding. We're joking. No, they're not.
Yeah, Patton and Margaret they're not staunch Republicans.
And I don't want to put that out there.
They're communists.
I heard on the podcast that they're communists. They hate America. They're anti-American. But there are, isn't it interesting though, those who are vocal, really vocal Trump supporters, and you had Scott Baio, who put out a big press release saying that he's had it with California and he and his family were moving to Florida because California,
Tennessee, with your In-N-Out friend.
Yeah. And there are those but you look at the list of those who are supporters of him, and none of them are really doing anything. Not many of them. The fact that Kevin Sorbo, who was Hercules, you got Dean Cain, who used to be Superman.
We're talking top 5 A-listers right now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, Scott
Baio. I'll tell you who is working, and to be fair, is a pretty talented guy, is Dennis Quaid.
Yeah, he's a very talented guy.
Quaid's in like 2 movies right now, even though he made that Reagan thing, and people are finding a way to give him a pass, and I don't. And whatever, he and Pedro Pascal are both in something, or no, he and the guy from Parks and Rec, what's his name, the big guy, with the mustache.
Nick Offerman.
He and Offerman just made a movie called Sovereign that's supposed to be amazing about guns, and they worked together every day, and they said, how'd you do it? And he said, we just didn't talk about it. Just when I respect him as an actor, he respects me as an actor. He does. Offerman said maybe it might be the best work he's ever done, Dennis Quaid, but we didn't get together and say, how about that Epstein list?
Because generally A-listers, there are some A-listers or at least people who are up there who support, but they stay quiet about it. I've interviewed Kelsey Grammer. And Kelsey Grammer is a very, very conservative. I'm not going to call it conservative because it's unfair. Because conservatives want lower taxes and less government. That's what real conservatism is. It's not building concentration camps in Florida that they're behind. But he's he supported Michelle Bachmann. Remember Michelle Bachmann? And remember when we thought she was crazy? Remember when people we used to think were crazy? We used to think we're crazy.
We hadn't seen the true crazy.
No, we had not. But I mean, I read somewhere he's got a net worth of like $400 million. He runs a production studio and puts stuff out, stuff that gets made.
Yeah. And he has his own police force, the Grammar Police. We'll be right back.
Grammar cops.
Idiot. You're an idiot.
Well, I'll tell you, it broke my heart to see Sylvester Stallone introducing Trump. As like this wonderful president at some event, because I have been a Stallone fan all of my life. Ever since the first time I saw Rocky, and so and his true story, about how he made Rocky when he was struggling and all of these things. And
sold his dog.
Sold his dog. He did. He was so broke. He sold his dog. He got his dog back.
He bought it back for at a markup.
No, the guy wanted a markup that he couldn't afford, so he gave the guy a part in a movie. Okay, he gave the guy a part in Rocky. That's what he wanted. Yeah. Oh, it's a great story. And from what I understand, it's a movie in development about the making of Rocky and how he struggled. It's such a great story. And here's a guy who came from nothing. A guy who came from nothing. And it's just, and every time a Rocky movie comes out, my kids and I, since they were little, there's a handful of movies that we all get together and go and see. Any Rocky movie, now Creed, that comes out, any Superman movie, we all get together and go and we see that, and any Bond film. And that's why I'm very bothered by Amazon having control over Bond. And Barbara Broccoli, whose father's company started the franchise, and then she took it over, said that the thing that she hated was when they go into meetings, the young Amazon executives kept referring to James Bond as content.
Yeah.
His content. His content. Are you Bond fans? Or is it only me?
Sure.
Yeah,
attention, 007. This is a bottle of pee.
It looks like a bottle of pee. But if you have a match that you strike next to it when you get in trouble.
Also, look at more earlier Bond films. Bond was not he became a little softer. He wasn't the sexist macho man that he used to be in the 60s and 70s too.
Oh yeah, totally in the 60s he was. But they're
going
to bastardize
Daniel Craig, I think they made that transition beautifully. I think the Craig movies are very good.
See, you don't remember all of the crap when it was announced that they cast him. That there was all this outrage.
He was a nobody. He was blonde.
He couldn't drive a stick. That was the story that was going around. That James Bond couldn't drive a stick, and he ended up being one of the best Bonds. Now, I tell you about this. Now they're talking about. I've read from I think it was Hollywood Reporter saying he was in the top 3 for contention to take over the role. Tom Holland, Spider-Man. I mean, he looks like he's 9 years old.
They're not going to get. They won't give another franchise guy. The thing about Bond, and I think Denis Villeneuve knows this, is that they've always been kind of nobodies before they were Bonds. So he's going to pick somebody. I think he'll pick somebody who's like an indie film darling, a handsome Brit, but it'll be somebody with less status because Bond is the star, not Brad Pitt or Tom Holland.
Mm-hmm. Well, I heard it's going to be Blaine Capatch.
Well, I mean,
put in my vote.
That's exciting for me.
Blaine Capatch.
Yeah, Capatch. Blake, where are you going?
See, I'm just worried about how Amazon's going to bastardize it. They're talking about that it's that there are opportunities with that franchise that have not been fully taken advantage of. So they're saying there may be things like a Moneypenny series. I mean, who cares?
Who cares?
Who cares?
That's a spinoff people have been clamoring for.
Well, they did one
more Moneypenny.
They did an Alfred one from Alfred Pennyworth from Batman called Pennyworth. It made him a badass spy or some such nonsense.
I think they should do Moneypenny, but do it like Rhoda, where she just
Rhoda,
create a 3-camera sitcom.
Yeah, well, the whole thing is about her personal life. I don't care about what goes on with Bond. Like, what does she do when she gets home? She can't get a date. She has bad parties like Mary Tyler Moore. That'd be awesome.
While we're on the topic of celebrities, we have 3 we've lost in the last 10 days. Connie Francis and Ozzy Osbourne and Malcolm Jamal Warner.
That was a drag.
Any thoughts on any of this? Malcolm Jamal Warner kind of hit me hard.
Well, that was a tragedy.
It was surprising. It was just surprising. I mean, somebody you watched grow up. And he meant a lot to African American people, because this is usually when you saw before the Cosby Show, you saw a young African American male on television, poor in the ghetto, on drugs, in trouble with jail, or living like the family in good times. You never saw. It was such a big deal that you saw in this family, and taking Cosby's personal issues out of this, it meant the world to people of colored African American people to see a successful, intact Black family on American television. Yeah. And, you had people, white people had never seen that before, quite frankly. And a lot of them didn't buy it. There were so many jokes going around saying that they needed a Black version of the Cosby Show, but it's just, if this feels personal, that feels personal.
I remember seeing an interview with Malcolm Jamal Warner when he was much younger, and him saying that every single audition he went out for was for like a gang member. And this was the first time he had an audition that was not that. Mm-hmm. And so it was, like what you just described, Brian. They're just young Black men on television were not seen any other way but gang member. Or a variation of that.
Not to make it a contest, but he was arguably the funniest of all the kids. He was sort of the breakout guy from that. I mean, Cosby was the thing for a while, but Malcolm was hilarious. Mm-hmm.
Well, he was on Detroiters. He played a character on Detroiters, and my 12-year-old loves Detroiters. We watch it all the time. And that's how he knows Malcolm Jamal Warner. And I said, he just passed away, he drowned. He's like, oh. So it was kind of a bummer because he was just so effortlessly funny on Detroiters. And you go, he just sort of, he was always himself. He grew up nicely, always for good causes, did good stuff. Everybody liked him. Just a drag.
I think about Cosby. There are a couple of things that I have read in the last 24 hours about how
I heard he's in trouble with the police about some stuff.
There's something. There's a little something. But as you recall, his son Ennis, was murdered.
Yeah.
And so Malcolm's character Theo was based on Ennis. And so the fact that he lost his real son, then he lost his TV son, and apparently they were close. And he said that his son and Malcolm actually hung out together. They were friends when they were teenagers. So the quote, I guess, from his publicist is that when he got that call, it brought back all that same pain. The pain was the same as the night that he heard that Ennis had been shot and had been killed. It's it's just whew, those kinds of things are just hard. I mean, they're just I can't. The worst thing anybody can fathom is losing a kid.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That is every parent's worst nightmare is losing a kid. Mm-hmm.
And I was shocked to hear that Connie Francis died in the running of the Bulls in Pamplona. I don't know how she was allowed to do that.
One of these years it catches up with you.
Yeah.
You do it year after year after year.
Doing what she loved.
With it every time.
Doing what she loved.
All right, I got a question. Tell me if anybody knows it. I should look this up, but I'll see if you guys know this. I heard years ago, and I don't know if this is show business lore or if this is the truth. I heard years ago that she was on the road and she was in her hotel room, back when they had keys. And the person who had stayed there before, somebody got a hold of kept their key or a copy of her key or something, and went in and she was assaulted. And as a result of her assault, she sued the hotel chain, and that's why the industry changed over to those card keys. And
that
they called
specific case.
Wow.
Now I don't know. Again, I'm saying flat out, I do not
I've never
know
heard the story.
if this is true. So you've never heard it before?
No.
Yeah, because I've heard it a couple of times, but that doesn't mean it's true.
I knew about the Pamplona thing. I didn't know about the card keys.
The Bulls thing. I know. Before we started, you guys were talking about Ozzy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Brian Posehn is beside himself.
Yeah, I was saying that we were talking about his last concert, and I was saying he had said prior to the concert that he had long to live. So he sort of knew. It's amazing that he got to do this thing that he, by all accounts, shouldn't have been able to do. Mm-hmm. It was a tremendous success. I saw tons of clips from it. It was amazing. And then he died surrounded by family and friends. So, I think I wouldn't mind going that way myself.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm also just impressed by performers in their late 70s and 80s getting up on stage and doing arena shows.
Yeah.
Because, Paul McCartney's back on a new tour. He's 81. Yeah. And he does 3-hour shows. That's insane.
I saw him at Dodger Stadium, and Ringo came out, and they did a couple of Beatles songs, and it was like, those guys are 80. Mm-hmm. And they're up there. He's singing his heart out.
Same with Elton John. Same story.
Yeah,
it's unbelievable. It blows my mind that they can still put on, because I've never done an arena show, but I got to imagine it takes a lot out of you.
Yeah.
I've done an arena show at a Riverfront Arena years ago. I opened for Natalie Cole at Riverfront Arena. It was a private party for Procter, Riverfront, the old Riverfront Arena in Cincinnati, and Procter & Gamble is like a major employer, the major employer there, and they rented it out for 3 days for 3 concerts for all employees and employees' families. And they packed it. They packed it all 3 days to see me and Natalie Cole. And it is a different vibe, because it's almost like the laughter comes in waves, because the fact that it's so big, it's almost like doing the wave, and you really got to wait for your laughs, as opposed to in a smaller venue. So I just can't imagine.
But how much do you slow down your act?
A lot. Oh my God.
A lot.
I had to follow Foreigner. At the Mark and Brian Christmas show.
Wow.
Before REO Speedwagon.
Oh God.
And they said, we're going to give you a mic. And I said, no, put the mic out in the stand and I will walk out. And I walked out very slowly and very purposely, so that everybody would focus on me. And then you're right, I did half my material. Mm-hmm. It was fantastic. It was about 5,000 people or something.
But you slow it. Yeah, you can't talk fast. You got to slow down.
You can't.
Oh yeah, no. So I slowed. I go pretty slow anyway these days. But but it was wild. But at the same time, it wasn't nearly as enjoyable as a club.
Mm-hmm. No, because
it didn't feel like stand up. It doesn't feel like stand up feels when you do stand up in a great club.
Let me ask you this: a total change of subject. How long ago was this? How many years ago was this? Was it recent, or was it a long time ago?
No, it was like 15 years ago.
Oh, okay. Because I've seen, it again, when you're getting old is when your high school bands are at the county fair. When all the bands you liked in high school are at the county fair.
Oh, yeah.
Wow, the Fix.
So, because those were my band, Journey and REO Speedwagon and Styx and Cheap Trick and, all of those.
But also you think that they were older than you, and you're old, and you're like, wait a second, should they still be performing?
I don't want to do this math.
Well, what I'm finding with a lot of them is that they like REO Speedwagon is a perfect example. They can't, Kevin Cronin has left now, I guess, and he's coming up here. As a matter of fact, I guess the Concord Pavilion or whatever they call it up here now. I don't know who the sponsorship is, but he's by himself now, and I guess singing those songs because he wrote them. But new stuff that they had, they sounded great. Playing the hits, they can't hit the notes anymore. They cannot hit the notes like they could, but who can? But that's why it impresses me.
That, by the way,
guys
happens more to female singers than I think even male singers. And someone was, I can't remember the interview, but I heard that it says the one exception is Dolly Parton. For some reason, Dolly Parton hasn't lost it.
If you want to see something unreal, go to the Black Sabbath concert and watch Steven Tyler and Tom Morello from Rage Against the Machine play Whole Lotta Love. Tyler rips it so hard at 75.
Wow.
It's so good. It's bizarre. It's mind blowing. He is just, I don't know how or why.
What I'm always amazed is we're having this discussion now. Did we in our 20s or 30s have this discussion about how impressed we are with people in their 70s and 80s performing? No. It's something we admire now as we're getting older.
Well, because it's happening now. It wasn't, we grew up with the Rolling Stones getting older. So they're the penultimate band. So
that's right.
Not the penultimate, the ultimate band. So so as they continue to play, we're continuing to amaze, and they make room for everybody else to go, well, I'm 82. I can still do it.
Yeah.
And
I remember.
Go ahead.
I remember when Bowie came out with Scary Monsters and Super Creeps. That was the song that was the album that had Ashes to Ashes on it in Fashion. And that album came out and everybody was like, he is too old to be doing this. This is ridiculous. How embarrassing. And he was like 34.
Well, hold it. I'll tell you a funny story about age. My mom got married to my dad before her brother did, and her brother is 3 years older. So my mom was 21 and her brother 24. And when he walked down the aisle, the big sort of nudge was, oh, there's the doctor who never married. And he was only 24 at the time. Now, he did get married, have a wife and all that stuff. But the fact that you could be a doctor, hit 24 and not be married, what the heck's wrong with you?
Wow.
Yeah. 20th century was weird. It's a weird place.
One of you guys mentioned Dolly Parton, and I got to tell you, the more 9 to 5 was on the other night on TCM or something, and I hadn't seen it. I don't think since it came out. I saw it when it came out.
That's a little dated. That movie.
Well, it is and it isn't. That's the thing. I mean, the issues are still the same. Women are still dealing with pay that is not equal. Women are still dealing with sexual harassment in the workplace. Obviously, that was what Me Too was all about. So unfortunately, the issues are the same. Of course, there are things and references that are dated, but it's just, and it was Dolly Parton's first film. And the more I have found out about her over the years, especially in recent years, the more I have loved that woman.
Oh, yeah.
She put up billboards about being kind, money out of her own pocket. You see, going off the Bay Bridge, the San Francisco Oakland Bay Bridge, there was she had a billboard up about, being kind and kindness to people. The big thing that I found I know is, Whitney Houston's song, her hit, big hit, I Will Always Love You from The Bodyguard. Okay, that was a Dolly Parton song. And Dolly had recorded it. And I don't think it did very well. And then Whitney Houston recorded it. It just became... And when I found out recently that she never told a soul is that because she wrote it, obviously, so she gets royalties from it. And that every penny of the royalties that she's received from that song, she has put into scholarships for African-American kids.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing?
She's a good soul, Dolly.
There's so many horrible stories, and we are at a place where America is not kind right now. In fact, I saw a quote today when I was preparing for the show of James Gunn, who directed and wrote the Superman movie. It's doing well, but it's not
the second time last night.
I've seen it twice too.
Fun.
Loved
so
it.
Much fun.
But unfortunately, he says that overseas it's doing fine overseas, but it's underperforming. And the reason being is because of anti-American sentiment.
Wow.
Anti-American sentiment.
Yeah. Well, he's a truly American hero. And so, they don't have a taste for that.
Well,
right now.
I would say, here's the thing. In all, look at it this way. The as I like to refer to him as the schmuck in chief. He has proven that you can really be a jerk and reach the highest level in the land. And there was a means that us as parents would teach our children not to do this. But now here is an exemplar telling you, no, this is a way you can succeed. And it's distressing, to say the least.
I've taught my 12-year-old, I said, he is proof that any child in America can grow up to ruin everything for everyone. There's no limits on what you can do.
Remember the show This Is Us? That was so big.
Kind of.
Really?
Yeah.
Nobody?
Sorry.
NBC show, Justin Hartley, Sterling K. Brown, Mandy Moore.
Okay.
They ran for 6 seasons, and it was an obsession on network TV. And I think it was the last acting Emmy for anybody. It's such a big deal with the Emmys now for there even to be a broadcast show that's nominated for anything. And that show got a lot of Emmy nominations. Sterling K. Brown actually won it. And it was, I was glued to it. And, it's one of those shows you cry. I cried Tuesday night? It came on. I ended up crying every single Tuesday night. But they said that one of the reasons that show did so well was because there was so much kindness in it and in the tone of it when America was under Trump, America's a lot meaner. People think that it's okay for them to open their mouths and let the nasty, ugly things that they think and they feel out, whereas we were always taught just because you think it doesn't mean that you have to say it. And even if you say it, polite society would not allow you to say it. Now, we got Jasmine Crockett, who I love, by the way. I'm going to say I love her. I love her politics. But every other word out of her mouth is the F word or something. You had Colbert last night, saying for Trump to F off. They
And what not only that, what are you saying? Trump swears all once. Have you ever seen a president swear before? We never saw that before.
No, I remember what a big deal it was. When it was reported that Bill Clinton cussed like a sailor during cabinet meetings. And, it was such a big deal about the fact that, but he didn't do it in public. He didn't put it out on Truth Social or some platform like that, drop F-bombs. So it's just, we've become a much less polite society and we've become a meaner society.
It's UFC culture.
Yeah, actually, it really is.
Ultimate fried chicken.
Ultimate fried chicken. What about waffles? Ultimate fried chicken and waffles. That's what we need. That's going to do it for us because we are out of time. It has been a pleasure. Anything anybody want to plug? David, anything you want to mention?
Just if anyone who's listening happens to work in the cybersecurity sphere, you should tune into our programming at CISOseries.com. That's CISO series.com. We have 5 shows. We publish 10 episodes every week of different shows, all about cybersecurity.
All right. Blaine.
Hey, I play Dungeons and Dragons with a bunch of 50-year-old nerds on the Nerd Poker podcast, available where fine podcasts are sold. And you can always see me hosting the legendary Lucha Vavoom, also available where Mexican burlesque and lucha libre are sold.
All right, Greg.
You can follow me at It's Gregors on Instagram to find out.
I do that. I follow you.
Hey, you're a good man. I'm gonna follow
No,
you.
you stalk him. That's not the same.
Oh, I don't post anything. I'm just, I post, I think the last thing I posted was 4 years ago, so there's nothing to see.
Yeah, I've just been posting. I've got a show this weekend in Huntington Beach. Check out my Instagram for ticks. But I'm around. I like to post pictures of my clothes.
It's true. I've seen him. I've seen his clothes.
David Spark, Blaine Capatch, Greg Behrendt. Thanks for being with us, guys.
Thank you, Brian.
We'll see you soon, I hope.
It was awesome.
Thank you.
Great,
Thank you, Brian.
All right, that's going to do it for us.
Greg, awesome to see you.
Same. Both
And
of you. I
Blaine.
love both your faces.
We'll check you out next week with a different panel. If you like the podcast or the YouTube show, a couple things you can do. On YouTube, you can subscribe, and that helps us. As soon as we get enough subscribers, we're going to do it live instead of recording Wednesday and dropping on Thursday. You can tell anybody any way that you possibly can about it. Send the link out. Share the show with friends. If you are listening to the audio version of this, if you would go to the review area of where your podcast provider allows you to write a review. If you would leave us a 5-star review, that would help us tremendously because it helps people to find the show. So I will check you out next week. Again, like and subscribe. Till then, be kind to your neighbor. He knows where you live.